Okay, it's 12. I should start. Well, at my place, it's 12. Miriam is like 6 in the morning or 5:30, right? Hi, Marius.
Good morning.
Nice.
Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, or you're on the beach. Nice. Good. Good place to be.
Yep.
All right. Let me start. I'll share my desktop. And that is the site that I created. I mean, Claude created it, my agent, for training. Publish, it should be this link that I should share. So sharing the link in the chat. There you have everything that I will be basically talking about today and all the links that you need also to get in contact with me later and share your interesting challenges with me. I love that. I love solving all these tricky issues with Claude, for example. Okay, but I will start now. I will go through this whole presentation. I mean, I will give you all of these talking points and demos, and then we'll go over to the questions. You can also post the questions in the chat in the meanwhile. If you want, you can raise your hand, but it would be good if I can go through this as a whole so that it gets also recorded and I can put it later into our school as part of my Claude Pro Masterclass. So or another masterclass, AI native business or something. Anyway, it goes into the masterclass. So I will go through that, note your questions if you have some and so on. But of course, if it's very urgent, if you don't understand something that I'm saying, then of course you can maybe then raise your hand and let me know that there's an urgent question. Otherwise, I will get to the questions in the end happily because that's what I like. That's what I like most. Okay. So the topic today is your AI second brain and why I want, okay, I'll enlarge a bit. And the question is my question for you, and you can post it in the chat, but you don't have to. You can also just think for yourself. Where does your knowledge live right now? And when I say knowledge, not only knowledge like documents, but also knowledge about processes. How do I work? Everything that you need to know in order to do your work today. And just think about it, or even as a homework, sit down and try to note it down on a piece of paper all the places that your knowledge lives. And remember that one of them is your brain, because most probably there are things that are never written down. You just know exactly how they work or what to do next or what you want to do next and so on, right? So you can do that, and probably the list will be quite long. For me, even it's still quite long, although it gets shorter and shorter every week, I would say. But that is, of course, an important thing, that the knowledge is usually scattered. And that's what a second brain is here to solve, one of the problems. Now, I can show you how, just quickly, in the beginning, what the difference is when I ask ChatGPT, for example, this. Write a LinkedIn post announcing my upcoming Claude Bootcamp on July 25th, and I put it into ChatGPT. ChatGPT doesn't have any knowledge on me, or hardly any knowledge. I just have a pro account for some basic reasons, but as an AI trainer, I need it sometimes. But in general, it does not have, oh, no, I didn't want to delete that. It doesn't have any specific knowledge about me. It doesn't have my context. It's not connected to my second brain, but it's very intelligent, right? The 5.6 model is very intelligent. So it's supposed to write a LinkedIn post. And the same thing, I will ask my Claude in my, let me just open a new chat. This is my Claude code connected to my whole second brain, just for context. So it has access to all of my knowledge. And here I ask the exact same thing even without the on July 25th, right? I'll just write that. Write a LinkedIn post announcing my upcoming Claude Bootcamp. And let's see what happens in both. I'm also quite curious. In the other chat, you have how I created my second brain webinar, and it actually also pushed it to Notion. So the whole Notion was also created by my agent. Now let's go back to ChatGPT. It didn't even ask any questions. which is like, I would rather ask for context, but it's fine. Claude is powerful, but only if you know how to make it work. I'm hosting a practical Claude bootcamp. Basic prompting, beyond basic prompting, communicate with Claude, work with documents, create resume. It's completely nothing. It has really hardly anything to do with what I will actually teach. And of course, it has no link. And it does things that I would never do, like add hashtags to LinkedIn. Now I'm hoping that my Claude Code will not do that. And also, it made all of that up, right? Because that's actually not really what will happen there. And it writes also not in my style. Like M dashes, I don't use them. They're forbidden. But anyway, it's not bad, I would say. Even like a few weeks back, it would be worse. But here's what my agents here did, like what the AI connected to my second brain did. Verified, July is a Saturday, 10 days out. Here's your post, value let, with the bootcamp folded in as comment. Yeah, exactly, because that's what I actually do. I do not put the link into the post because that doesn't work on LinkedIn very well. So that's what it wrote. It's exactly how I would write it, I hope, a fresh Claude chat every morning, and you paste the same context in again. Running business, most solopreneurs, exactly, because it knows that it's actually a bootcamp, Claude for solopreneurs. So it knows that. And it knows exactly the pain points that I'm addressing. That is not a system, exactly. And I present a system. So how can you build a system inside of Claude, right? So Saturday, July, which is even it added East Coast because it knows that I address also US East Coast because it's a similar time, like we have a time overlap. So it knows everything about this upcoming bootcamp and it can immediately pull it. And even the link, no, it didn't add the link because we don't add it in the post itself. But anyway, so that's quickly, just in the beginning, I wanted to show you this difference. And that is how working with a second brain for me feels every day, that I ask for something and Claude already knows all the context that it needs. Okay, yeah, that was the short demo. So just quickly, 3 things about me for the ones who don't know me. I'm an AI trainer and consultant. And important to know, I do not have a technical background. I'm not a software developer, never have been. I have worked in IT a long time, but as an agile coach, a non-technical process improver, let's say. So the message here is that if I can build it, you can too. Meaning you can also build a second brain and maintain it. And I run a free school community, the Claude Lovers Club, and there I really update about everything that I currently do, that I currently offer, and I share a lot of knowledge for free. So you can join that. The link is at the bottom of the page. Maybe I'll reshare the link because some people joined. In the meantime, hello for the joiners. Hello, Sylvia. Hello, Magda. Yeah, some of you I know already. Okay. So I train also businesses and their teams. So I provide AI literacy programs and I build second brains for small businesses. So what is a second brain? A second brain is basically a folder structure with AI on top of it. Silence my phone. Sorry. It's basically a folder structure, which is not easy to grasp in the first moment, that it's just a structure of many folders, subfolders, and files with AI operating it. So something if you don't connect it to AI, then it's confusing, but AI can operate that, can keep it updated, and you can also work with that. If you have AI on top. So the whole idea is second brain, but on top, an AI, any AI, basically, that operates it. So it's one folder, many subfolders, and it holds everything about you and your business, also your current work. So anything you create also goes in there. It's not only a knowledge base, because some people in the first moment think it's a knowledge base. Okay, all my knowledge in one place, great. No, it's a working operating structure. So everything you build also goes in there so that it's current. It's like a brain, but it remembers better, at least than my brain. So inside you have a few simple layers, and they don't have to have these exact names, and they don't have to be separate folders or files inside of that, but these are like concepts that should go in there in some kind of form. So raw is the raw knowledge. These are like meeting transcript, like this transcript will end up there right after the meeting. Notes, teachings, everything that is connected to your business, that is like the raw data. Then there is a kind of wiki. So everything that you and the AI create out of that raw data goes into a sort of wiki layer. And then some kind of map and or index so that AI could easily navigate through all of that. Because of course this will grow fast. This will scale fast. And even in the beginning already, you need some kind of map to know, for the AI to know. You can know in the beginning, but like after a few weeks, you will lose track of where everything is. And that's fine because AI will know it has a map. And then some kind of manual. So for me, everything of that, the manual is in Claude MD, but it can also be partly a separate file. But the rules, it contains the rules of the house. So it tells the AI how to run this brain, how to work with this brain. And then you open that folder with your AI. So for example, in Claude Cowork, or I work in VS Code, and simply talk to it. And then it can really like have all of your knowledge in one place, your tone of voice and everything about your business. And one thing to remember is that there are no two brains that are similar. So you can learn a lot. I sometimes have like people coming to me and saying, but we need also this and that. We need a schema. We need a wiki should look this like this and that. And I read and I heard and I saw someone showed on YouTube and so on. Every brain is different. So whatever you learn about the brains, yours will be different. It will probably include all of these layers in some form, but in which form, in which, how, what will they look like? What will go into these files? That will completely depend on your context and how you work. So every brain is different, definitely. And when I build out brains, also they are different for every client. Yeah, now short demo meaning I will just show you my folder structure, which is not very human friendly. I do not really keep track of all the folders, but that is actually my second brain. So everything that makes my work so easy and so amazing right now lives here in all of these folders. So at the top, it's just like a folder on my Mac. And it's also, I have it also backed up in GitHub so that it's backed up also. It's not like I will lose it if my Mac, if I throw my Mac into the sea, then I will not lose it because it's backed up. But of course, that is also a decision to make whether you want a backup. I have a Claude MD and a README MD. The README is a bit more for me so that I understand. They like the agents know that I like to read and to understand a bit how my own brain works. But Claude MD is the thing that Claude automatically reads. So if you use your second brain with ChatGPT, you will have something different here. I think it's called Agents MD, and that is what ChatGPT goes to first and reads it. But for Claude, it's called Claude MD, and there go the first instructions that every agent, even Claude in the chat in general reads first. And then you have a lot of different folders, many different folders that are somehow connected to that layer. So, or also my agents live here, my employees, they live also inside the second brain. And I will tell you in a bit why that is so amazing and so important. And of course, there are subfolders in some of them. I don't know, drafts. Yeah. So for example, the agents create drafts with dates. I am still not sure if that is the best way to do it, but for them it works, and for me as well, because they easily are able to find all the drafts that we wrote in a given day. So today we had these drafts already written while I was preparing this very workshop webinar. All right, so that's my brain. It looks confusing because it has like 30 or 40 folders already at the top level, but my AI knows where to go, and I can at any moment ask my my information agent, Aria, to explain it to me, which I sometimes do. I have to sometimes ask, explain to me, where do these layers live and how do you operate this brain? But the most important is that the AI knows it. And then I talk through my AI in plain words. So here in VS Code, I open the second brain with the Claude like add-on, and I just talk to it like you saw a minute ago, and you will still see in my second demo. So that is just basically how I operate my second brain. And there are 6 levels of giving AI your context, and I don't want to get too much into that, but just so to imagine and to think for yourself at which level you are, because most people live somewhere, even advanced AI users live somewhere here and here, and the last level of that, if you imagine, I didn't ask for an infographic, I should have maybe, but if you imagine a staircase, the last level of giving AI your context, the highest, is your second brain. And the first one is giving, of course, one-time context, meaning it's in the prompt, like here, I pasted here. This was all the context that I gave ChatGPT. It has no other context about me, right? So that was like giving no context at all, I would say. But you can, of course, give a lot of context in the prompt or just attach it, drag a file into the chat. That's level 1. Good, already good, because many people skip that as well. And then you have generic things that come out of ChatGPT, for example. Then you have profile settings and instructions. So once you add that, even your first off prompts will already create better output because the AI will have that. And ChatGPT doesn't have that about me. No profile, no settings, instructions. So it's like really contextless. And then you have projects. Let's say projects or even AI assistants like custom GPTs, where each has its own instructions and memory. So just quickly to show that, let's say Claude, let's keep it as an example. In the project, you can already have like a lot of context, but only regarding this one project. Let me just open my old, sorry for scrolling, but I wanted to show you my old Sarah, because I had her from the beginning. She's my strategy advisor. And she lived from the beginning in Claude Chat, so not even co-work because it didn't exist. And here it happens that all the instructions are in the project itself, so in Claude. The memory that Claude built over years, I think Claude started doing this building project memory only last year, maybe 1.5 years ago. So later it started building a memory. So still over a year of memory, and then a ton of files that are uploaded or connected via Google Drive. And then all the chats that she kind of also uses as context a bit, let's say. And that is like a project. So working in projects is already providing, or a quite high level sometimes, of providing context, but the projects cannot speak to each other. That's the one thing that you have to consider. So if you need 3 projects to work on one new initiative, you cannot really do that in Claude, in these structures. And then you have connectors and skills, and okay, this is something that Tiffany made up a bit, but you have all of these other tools that connect Claude, like connectors, or skills can also give guidelines about you. And if you have all of that, then you're quite high, like on a high level where you already use workflows and so on. Before we started, I already had a chat with some of you, and I see that you're like on this level, let's say. But the last level, the highest level, is one place, one second brain that operates on your AI, on your whole context. Why have one? And this is the important part. And this is actually the heart of this webinar. That is the most important thing that I want to tell you, because many people still ask me, like students come to me or people that are in my school, and they ask me, okay, but why would I? I have projects, I have everything in Claude, right? It's the general, like you taught us, the general instructions, personalization. The projects have all the different, they are my AI assistants, they have all the different projects. Now, why a second brain is a level up and why it's a completely different type of working. It's first of all, you never have to re-explain yourself. It has fresh knowledge all the time, like you saw with now when I asked about the next bootcamp. It knows when it is, it knows what it is, it knows the exact points. It could even provide the link to the page, to the waitlist, because I know it has it. I just didn't ask for it because in the LinkedIn post I do not give it. But it has everything in one place, right? Then it's also more sustainable, meaning it uses fewer tokens. If you're always worried about your token usage in Claude, which most of us are, it really uses fewer tokens because it can quickly, easily find the information that it needs, and not like my poor old Sarah here with all the folders, all the memory from 2 years and everything. And she has to search. I mean, Claude is quite good at searching through keywords, but still it's hard for her to really search all of that and give me back fresh context. And the context is not fresh after so much time. You can even see that in a chat. If you chat long and you keep the chat open, because you don't want to lose the context of the chat, which is fine, but probably you have noticed that the context will rot. That's what it's called when the AI starts to drift away from the context. You see that, oh, did you forget? We talked about it already. Why are you now saying something totally else? Or when you see even your projects, like my old Sarah, for example, and Tiffany Trainer in Claude, they start drifting a bit. They do not have this fresh context anymore because they have so much memory and so much things to go through before they answer that they sometimes really lose the sharpness and this freshness. And that doesn't happen with a second brain because it pulls the information that it needs at that time in a clear way with MD files that AI loves and with this map that it has so it knows where to look, right? The next thing is you have everything in one place. I still do not, but I'm going in that direction. And the more things I migrate just into my second brain, the happier I am. The more time I have in my life and the less I need to worry. Where is this or that document? Or what did I say last year in this very important speech that I had, for example, at PM Connect in Torun? What did I say there? These things, I do not have to worry about them. Now you own your knowledge. It lives on your own laptop. It's not like I showed here, somewhere buried inside of a tool, because what you have here is nowhere else. It's here inside of Claude, and it's not in a place where you can access it at any time without Claude. And I have like Tabitha Winter is a great second brain expert, and she puts it like this, and I love it. I do not love all of these like metaphors that AI loves using, but this one that Tabitha used, I really like. Using all this built-in memory and the different tools is like having a house, a beautiful house, right? You have this beautiful house that operates greatly with all your skills and memories and projects and everything, but it lives on rented land. It's not really yours. Like if you decide to switch tools, like many people did this year, decided to switch, for example, from ChatGPT to Claude when it became like the most powerful, let's say, model. And then they had to worry. There was a ton of posts about it, how to export your knowledge out of Claude, then order it, then give it to out of ChatGPT, then bring it in order, organize it, then give it to Claude, and so on. So you have to then kind of pull the knowledge out of this tool just to be able to share it with another tool. And this shouldn't be that difficult. So it's really yours. If you have a second brain, you have a great functioning operating house, a complete house where everything is on your own land, because you can have it on your own laptop, you can have it in your own cloud. And if you decide to switch a tool, you just do it, for example, or if a tool disappears, because it can happen. We saw it happen for a while with Fable, which is only one model. Of course, you could still use the other models from Claude, but still, like I heard then a fear from one of my students. What happens if Claude disappears? You build your whole business now on Claude and it will disappear. And I said, you know what? Yes, I will be very sad because I love Claude, but that won't change much because my second brain, all the memory, all the operations, all the processes I have here, I can just attach it to ChatGPT then or to any other model. So that's the thing. You own your own knowledge and your processes, your operations, everything. And you stop, that is a great thing. So if you're over 40, you will understand that very well. You stop having to remember everything. You can just dump it in there and say, just do something with it. And it will. I do that constantly. I find something interesting, I dump it into the brain and I say, remind me that this is amazing once we start like this second brain selling offer. Or I dump something and I say, you know what? I don't have time to look at this now, but you need to remind me in a few days. And that, of course, happens through agents that go on top of all of that. But still, it's already in there. I know they create an MD file out of it. And if I ask them about it later, or if they remind me, it will be already there. So you don't need to worry. And that gives me, for example, a huge relief because back before that, before my second brain, I needed to like have this overview in my head. Remember, I have this here, that there, and I keep all of that all the time. And that also that causes a lot of anxiety and stress. And once you can just drop anything and the agents take care of it, or just if you don't have agents yet, that just it will be there in the brain. And whatever AI you connect to it will be able to tell you where it is and what it is. Then that is, of course, the next level. Once you have the second brain and everything is in it, you have your AI connected, you can start building agents. And if you build AI agents on top of a second brain, it's a completely different feeling than building them anywhere else. And anyway, because I have been building agents for a year now, or over a year, with N8N, with Make.com later, then later with Claude. But it never felt like when I started building agents on top and inside of my second brain. That feels completely different. It feels like onboarding an employee. And that's actually, I think I showed you this, that they are called AI employees because they are inside of a structure that onboards them. Where is that? I had a folder I showed you, right? AI employees, they are called here. Yeah, that's just a folder. And here my AI agents live. And there's also a process for hiring new agents. But they are all trained on my second brain. And that makes all the difference because they immediately start. Of course, there's an onboarding phase where they are trained on my business, on my context, on my knowledge, and then they have to adjust a bit. You have to start training them a bit, but it's a completely different feeling than building them from scratch. Now, that is all the what and the why. Now, just shortly how I do that. And that is just, I don't want to go too much into that because there's a whole separate workshop on that. And it's 6 hours, so we don't have that time here. But I built that with clients. I built that for me once, but then I rebuild it several times. So the first version that you build is usually not the first, not the last one. You keep adjusting it, it keeps developing, it keeps changing. But the first version we built through an audit where it takes a week, like 8 hours of really sitting together and in between also work to map all the processes, the work, step by step, and everything you need to know about the business. Then you collect also all the data. So any documents that they can give you about these business, these processes like SOPs, docs, knowledge, everything scattered across different places. Pull it out of ChatGPT and of Claude, so that you have everything together. And then you also have to find the blind spots, like, for example, these Claude projects, like you have to pull them out. Or suddenly the client says, oh, wait, I have also 10 perplexity spaces. And then you should actually sit there. If it's, of course, relevant to the work, then it should be also exported from Perplexity and put into this brain. And then the actual build is really the easy part, because then you adjust the structure and then you build it out, and it includes some technical parts, of course, but as I said, I can do it and it works. And the gathering the knowledge and understanding that this is the important part, that is the key to really building amazing brains. All right, I talked a lot. Just give me 5 more minutes and then I come to questions that you hopefully have. Your homework this week, let's say, pick one level of context you're not using yet and set it up. Okay, so the level, sorry, I had to remember what I meant there. And these were the 6 levels. So if you're, for example, on level 2 and you don't use projects, then you can set that up. Or you can connect something, like connect a tool. Or you can immediately say, no, I'll skip all of that. I'll jump straight to the second brain, which can be exciting, but also a bit difficult maybe, because it's good to go through all of the levels and have a picture first, the system first, and then move it to a second brain. That's at least how it happened for me. But anyway, yes, I wanted to build you page live. Let's see. With demos, you never know, but let's see. So we open a fresh chat here in VS Code, and I'll just paste the prompt. Please create a warm on-brand web page. And I'll ask Theo. That's just my agent he creates all my content. So I think this one would be for content. Please create a warm on-brand web page for the people attending my Second Brain webinar today. Keep it short, what a Second Brain is, why it is worth having, and how I can help build one, all based on what I teach in my Second Brain. Add a clear button to join the Build Your Second Brain workshop waitlist. Okay, but maybe in my Second Brain. But remember that this is a teaser, otherwise it will give away everything that I know on this page. But remember that this is a teaser only, and then you don't have to come to any of my trainings. That wouldn't make sense. And a clear button to join the Build Your Second Brain workshop waitlist. Link is in my funnels section. Then deploy it live to my funnel domain so I can share it right now. All right. So it will be building here, and yeah, and that will take some time, of course. Let me check if we'll check back later. Prompt. Okay, so you have some useful links here on the page. If anyone joined later, let me know. I'll reshare the link. So my free school community, we have my Claude Overview Resource Hub. Actually, Tiffany Trainer added a lot more here, but I said, okay, not everything. Let just, one thing at a time. So you have my Claude Overview Resources Hub that fits well into the levels, let's say. And yeah, the link to my workshop will come because I built it last minute. So we will have it in a bit on this page that I will share with you. And you can also, yeah, exactly, join my school. So you can click here and join it. All right. We will wait now for Theo to build this page for you, hopefully. But he went straight on. He doesn't even ask me anything because he reads best practices guide. Okay. Well, let's see how that will work. Okay. That was a lot. What are your impressions? Let me check if there are questions in the chat. Okay, Magda, why do you prefer to work in VS Code than in Cowork? What is the advantage? Good question. Very good question. The advantage is that VS Code, you're right that the difference is only in the front end, right? Because in the back end, in both, in VS Code and in Cowork, you have Claude Code. But here I have more possibilities. It's easier to create something, to use my connectors, and it gives you much more possibilities. You also see the structure of your folders here on the left side. And for me, that helps a bit because sometimes we're sitting in the drafts, for example, folder, and I want to easily show the drafts and search through them. And that is not possible in the cowork setup. And then you can use your brain, your second brain, once you build it, you can use it through cowork. That's in general no problem. But one thing you need to remember, so let's say we're in cowork, like a new task. In cowork, once you need to remember that if you work on a folder that is not your second brain, like in something deeper, so for example, in the project, then it doesn't see anything that is above it. It will not use the whole brain. It will just use everything that is in the project folder and under it. And that is something that we just tried out with Jerzy, who's here, and we're currently building his second brain. And it was the one thing that we really tried out because he said, I would love to have, sorry, Jerzy, I hope it's fine that I'm sharing this, but that was so interesting. I would love to have an overview of all of my projects and their states, right? Because he uses the projects here inside of Cowork. And that was only possible if you chose one level up, like above all of these projects, above all of these project folders. So you have to remember that Claude Cowork works in that way. It won't get even to this Claude MD that you have at the top, because code, when you have it outside of Cowork, it will always check, like I always just open the highest level and work on that. But then also if I open a folder lower, it will also check the highest Claude MD in the structure. And Cowork does not work like that. It works on the part that you give it, and it does not have all the knowledge and the operations and the processes that are above it.
And the
Does that
VS
help?
Code, yeah, thank you. And the VS Code is something different than Claude Code on desktop?
Well, it's a bit different because I started using Claude Code here, so just in the code.
Yeah.
And you have the chats here, not the folder structure, so that's the first difference.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that is the one that I couldn't really see the folders here. And then I think that was the moment where I moved to VS Code. I
And
have
it's
like a
like
better
another app.
overview. It's an app, yes, exactly. It's another
Okay.
app that it's usually for in the past, it was for software developers that work with code. And yeah, I just moved there gradually because it's just better for me structure-wise, I would say.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Very good question. These employees, are they projects in Claude or something else? They're not projects in Claude, because if they were projects in Claude, then the knowledge would be in Claude, at least part of it. They are you saw, they are MD files in my second brain. And of course, then I built them out further so that they are connected to GitHub Actions. There is a run in the morning where they have a stand up and things like that. That is that like next level, that they also do stuff on their own. But you can build them here first and then chat with them. And they are just MD file. Basically, they are MD files in your second brain.
Oh, okay, this is cool. Maybe you could run once also such a webinar about those automations that you do then on GitHub. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Yeah, that's like the next. Like first you build your
Yeah.
brain, and then on top you build you build these agents. The folder we should create, should it be copy of my files, or should I just migrate really the files there? I keep everything there just because I want to have it in one place. I don't want to have things anywhere else anymore. Sometimes, of course, I have things on Google Drive because I want to share them easily, or in Notion because I want to present here. I won't present on an MD file from my brain. That wouldn't be very
Yeah.
nice unless I use Obsidian. But I don't actually use Obsidian very much. I have it, but it's like another tool that I would have to use, and I like to keep it here. So I am going more and more in the direction that I have everything in this whole structure, so
But
that I don't.
it
Yeah.
does need to be in desktop, or can it be also then in Google Drive, OneDrive, SharePoint, like in a cloud?
I have a backup. So every hour it backs up in GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could have a backup in the cloud. I'm not sure if it would work if you use it constantly in the cloud. I wouldn't know how to set that up, like to have it connected through cloud. Probably yes, but it's not the easy, let's say, way where I just open the structure with Cowork, with the agents, or with VS Code and so on. So
Okay.
but you could have, like, I also want to have a backup. Like I said, I don't want it to be all only local. That's why I create all the time. A backup is automatically created. My question is in direct chat. Okay. The best part, VS Code is free. Yes, Wambui, good point. VS Code is free. I mean, it doesn't change if you have a Claude subscription, you still... because you can use Claude Code in VS Code. It will ask you for the first time, do you want to use it through your subscription or through the API? And then you can, of course, decide. It's just a spoiler. It's cheaper to use it via the subscription. You have more tokens than if you would use the same amount of tokens directly via API. It would cost more because they cost less inside of a subscription. But that's just another question. But yeah, VS Code is free, so that is really, really good, and I really like it. Okay, let's see, it's still working. Well, it's creating a website, so let it create, let it work. Miriam, do you want me to read that from the private chat, or is it a secret?
No, it's not.
No, that was a question for Miriam.
No,
Because
go
she
ahead,
wrote
read
me.
it. I just
Okay.
thought that you want a Q&A in a separate chat, so it's easy for you to look.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Thanks. Thank you. So from what I understand, when your file gets larger and larger, then each question and each project use more and more tokens. Does that apply to the second brain? Yeah, that's a good question, and it's connected to this context rot. So if you have a project in Claude that is already quite good, because Claude is good in finding only the information that it needs. The worst thing that you can do is having long chats. If you have long chats just because you want to keep the context, and then even old chats, if you keep your knowledge organized in chats, that's also a point. Some people like to have their chats organized, and that is where their knowledge is. And then you go back to an old chat because that is where you organized your knowledge. It will use more tokens because it's an old chat. It's not nowhere in the cache. It will just have to go through all of that, kind of remind itself. Of course, it doesn't work like that, but it has to check the old chat, use even more tokens, and then get back to it. So using chats and old chats and long chats is the worst thing that you can do. Having projects is better, but still, like I said, I see it already rot. In my old Sarah strategy in Claude, I see already that it's too much for her, and she doesn't find the knowledge exactly how I need it. But in general, I don't say projects are a bad thing. It's quite good, and Claude is good at that. But the second brain is even better. So of course, once the second brain grows, and it grows constantly, you need to keep it updated, fresh. Also the map, right? The map, the index, however it looks for you. It can be a schema file, it can be in the MD file, it can be some separate instructions. But how the brain should be searched, for example, that should be also kept updated. But that is also something that AI does for you. You don't need to I mean, if you don't have agents that run, I have Aria, that's her job. She keeps this all updated. If you don't have that, then you need to do that manually, but through AI, because they need to know where the stuff is. So there will be no context rot. If you keep a brain well maintained, it will know exactly where to go, and each chat will be very fresh, with fresh connections, fresh context. Hope that answers your question, Miriam.
Yeah, so essentially that you're saying that the You build an agent that is essentially that is in charge of the second brain to help you organize everything, and therefore they will create a new folder each time you brainstorming or whatever accessing it, and therefore it won't use as much token.
The agent is, I built her actually, Aria, I built her recently, only a few weeks ago. I started using the brain without this kind of agent, because when you open just a clean chat without no agent, just Claude code, then it will also, and ask it like, drop some file into raw or wherever. You can just say, grab this file and put it in order, and it will put it properly according to Claude MD through the instructions, according to the schema. So we do not need to have this agent immediately. And I will just talk to Aria. Hi, Aria. Explain in plain words, shortly, what your job is. Let's see like that. And she runs on some kind of schedule also. So she has her tasks that she does I don't even remember exactly. Maybe she'll tell us. I think every week she goes through a whole brain and does a slight restructure so that it doesn't have the scope creep. And I think once a day she also runs something. I think she checks the wiki if everything is in there from my training, if it's ordered. I'm Aria, information architect. In plain words, I'm the team's librarian and tidier. Okay. My job is to keep your second brain clean, current, and easy to find your way around, so other agents always read what's actually true today and never old stale context. Day to day, that means I keep the who you are, what you sell, what matters this quarter files up to date, and every change is backed up by real decisions you made, never a guess. I own the structure of the whole brain, every folder, including projects. Nothing new gets a messy home, no clutter piles up, no duplicate versions of the same thing. I run a weekly tidy up and make sure everything is properly backed up. I condense and archive old stuff, never delete it. So she's the one who built, when I built her first, she built an archive folder, and she calls it the basement because she always, when she explains something to me, she likes to use all these metaphors, and she always says that my brain is the home, you have 5 rooms and the basement. So the archive is the basement, and she archives stuff there so that agents don't go there unless they are asked to find something old. So I keep the house in order so the rest of the team can move fast. Sarah approves my routine changes. Sarah is the strategy one, but the new, fresh, rebuilt here in the brain. Only the big things, positioning, pricing, guardrails, come to you. So in general, that's what she does. So that is really helpful once you have a huge brain. It's not usually what you built in the beginning, but with some clients, I do it as the first ever agent so that the brain immediately has someone that is in control. Okay, Miriam, what now that Fable 5 is out, how and when I can change back to the old agent? It's a dumb question. Don't say that. There are no dumb questions with all of this stuff. Also remember that all of this is super new. This concept was, I think, created of the second brain, for example, was created in April, I think, by Andrei Karpatov. It's completely like new. And all of AI is constantly changing. So there are no dumb questions, believe you me. So I can change back to the old. So Fable 5 is just a model that you choose, right? You can choose to work in any agent and then give it the tool, let's say, the model, so you can switch model. I work in Opus most of the time, but if I want any of these agents to work better, let's say better strategically, for example, for Sarah, I often choose Fable now, right? And then the same agent, so the agents can use different models, whatever you decide. And the same is in Claude, right? You choose the models in every chat, right? And you can also set a default model, at least in VS Code. So yeah, so I don't know if that helps.
On the VS Code, where did you click again to switch the model?
Oh yeah, sorry. It's here. It's this command line, let's say, and here you can switch the model.
Okay,
So
thank you so much.
No problem. It looks similarly in every tool. You just need to find where to click. I had to find that as well. Yeah, does skills sit within second brain folder structure? Yes, that is the good thing, that now all my skills sit somewhere here. Let's ask Arya. Where do my skills sit? Lately, I needed because I'm ISO certified. I have an ISO certified quality management system, and I will get recertified soon. So I said I need my ISO assistant to be rebuilt somehow in my brain, and the I don't know who I asked. I think Sarah or Maya. She's the chief of staff. She said, we don't need an agent for that. We will just build a skill. So she built a skill for ISO. Oh, she opened it. Arya opened it. I opened the workspace skills folder in Finder. Okay, so it's in Claude. Yeah, well, these are not the skills from my second brain. They are not in my second. Okay. They live one level above. So that is my Claude. Yeah, but that's on purpose. Like the second brain is one level below, and my skills live here, I think. Artifacts? No. Sorry, I don't know where my skills live. Good question. List skills folders, Claude. Yeah, these are the ones that live in Claude. Okay, maybe I need to migrate them. Yeah, so the idea is for the skills to live in the second brain. I am sure I have already some here because I have this ISO skill, for example, that was built recently. But the idea is to have them all here. So if I have still some in Claude, like AI cloud, then I definitely have to migrate that. But in general, the idea is to have the skills here within your second brain, so that they are not they are not tool dependent and so on. So I have to migrate that. Thank you for asking. Now I have a to do. I have to tell Arya. Okay, I'll tell her. Remember that we need to migrate them somehow into my second brain later. Let's see what she says. By the way, we have already the page created for you. It's on Vercel. Okay, I wanted it somewhere else, but it's fine. Because maybe that's a view. Just saw second brain live, ready to build. Let's check if the link is right. Yes, the link goes to my second brain workshop. Nice. Join the community. That's the link to school. Let's see if that works. Yes, that works as well. What a second brain actually is. Wow, okay, even a quote. How nice, okay. How I help you build your own, get on the wait list, Cloud Lovers Club. Okay, nice. But I actually wanted it in a different place, but it's fine. It's a warm on brand teaser. It's public, so you can drop the link straight into the webinar chat. That's fine. Okay. That's what I'll do. Here it goes. And that's what it built out of all the context that it has. It linked to the right things. So I basically now build pages all the time. And because I also have it connected to my Vercel, so it just deploys. Usually I also use my another domain here, a better subdomain of Paloma's Academy AI. But yeah, it just deployed to this Paloma's Vercel, but that's fine. All right. Any more questions? What about, oh, well, yes, good question. Yeah. What about the second brain for a small team, startup or very small SME? Yeah, that's amazing, an amazing thing, because of course for companies. So when I build it for companies, small companies usually, because for big companies it would be much more complicated, but of course still possible. But usually SMEs want that, or solopreneurs. And that works similarly because all of them have access to the second brain. And then you can onboard super quick because they can immediately start working with the knowledge, with the agents. They can ask an onboarding agent to guide them through the onboarding and so on. So they all have access to the same second brain. And of course, you can create also inside of it, you can create folders and subfolder structures that are only for one employee. That is also possible. So you build it out so that it really works for the whole team. And yeah, that's even better because then they have a shared understanding and shared access to knowledge. And it's much easier than having knowledge in Confluence, on OneDrive, then on a SharePoint, and then somewhere, and then trying to onboard someone. So for teams, it's of course even more useful, I would say. What's the difference between the skill in your Claude versus second brain that you built? Isn't skill kind of work as a second brain in Claude? It works exactly the same way. But it's again the ownership. I want to have everything in one place. I don't want to have them still somewhere in Claude in the cloud because these are like a Claude folder. I want to have them inside my second brain, or at least in this Claude AI, in this Claude folder structure, so that they are my own and not connected to Claude. Because otherwise, I need to export them, and I did that just with Jerzy when we built his brain. We needed to export the skills and add them there, so just so that they are in one place and the agents can easily access them. So that's just this difference. They work the same way, or at least should. Like you had this experience before the webinar, you told me about it, that a skill, I think, in projects work differently than in VS Code. And that is probably the access to knowledge. So probably it was about the memory in the project or something. Like it had access, the skills themselves were the same, but they had access to different processes, different knowledge. That I think at least that might have been the issue. For Team Second Brain, you probably need a special license, team license. No. Good question, but if you want to stay in the Claude UI, then yes, then you need a team license. Each of them works like as part of this team, and they share the projects here, they share the artifacts, the routines, whatever. But if you build a second brain, then it's not important which tool you use, which license you use, right? So everyone can connect to the second brain. I'm not saying that it makes sense, but they can connect to it with whatever tool. So I wouldn't say that if you want to use the second brain with a team, that then you need a team license. Because you can have VS Code for everyone, and then everyone can have even a pro license. But of course, it makes sense. A team license makes sense. It has a bit more usage for everyone. So, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay, but then it means that if they will connect to this kind of folder second brain, then they all will be able to make adjustments in the second brain. So whoever like types something, creates their agents, it will land there.
Yes, but only if you set it up like this. So if you want to set it up differently, then there will be a part that is shared, and you can set up parts that are only assigned to the employees.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more a complex setup, but I think it would then make sense to have separate access possibilities. Have this common, don't lose this common knowledge and this common brain, where you can also update documentation immediately, right? And then everyone sees the updated documentation or uses the updated documentation and so on, but also have the parts that are accessible only to you.
Okay, but it somehow kind of intuitively sounds to me that it shouldn't be a problem then to have this folder stored in SharePoint, yeah, so that everybody has access to it, is stored centrally and just mapped maybe to the desktop. Like when you have the projects, right, you're able to connect it through the link. So that would be quite weird if they would do the step back in the second brain, right? Isn't it?
A step back? So
Yeah.
I'm quite sure it's because that's a technical question of technical setup. And that's, for me, these are the easiest ones because
Yeah.
AI can solve the technical setup for you like that.
Okay.
It's not a problem anymore. But from the conceptual, like ideation part, I'm quite sure you can have a second brain just on a SharePoint and connect it
Yeah.
to that, most probably. I don't know, maybe via MCP or
Mm-hmm.
maybe like that. So I don't think this should be a problem. We can ask Aria later, or I don't know, Tabitha. I have now an agent called Tabitha because she's the AI, the second brain expert. I can ask her. I have never done it. I always do it as a local structure to
Yeah.
then synced to GitHub, so that there is a repo, and of course in the repository you can have different accesses, right? And that is how I do it. But if there's a need to do it on a SharePoint, that's probably possible, most probably possible. Did that answer your question?
Mine,
I know.
yes. But the question, the first one was from Jerzy, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now I went through all the questions. Okay, one thing. If we pursue one other one, Bowie, thank you. If we pursue B2B clients, what is the best way to complete the audit process mapping? Second brain intake questions. What is the best way to complete the audit process mapping? That is a deep question, very good question. But it is a long process. So long. It's a lot of asking questions about the things that are only in the brain of the person that are nowhere in the documentation, SOPs, wherever. So that's one part. And so audit, the process mapping mostly is an interview. When I do it, it's mostly an interview. I have also quite a lot of experience with process mapping as an agile coach, because that was what I did a lot of times. And that was just asking simple questions like, what do you do then? And then what? And then what? And what knowledge do you need in order to do that next step? And how does it work? How do you know that you do it this way and not that way? And so on and so forth. So it's a lot of like pulling out of the brain of the person knowledge that is only in there. So that is this blind spot mapping. So I think that is the most important. Like I said, that is the crucial part, the audit.
Yes. Hi, Dorota. It's 6 a.m. So I am not coming on camera.
You so brave. You and Miriam, thank you for joining
Oh,
so
man.
early.
At 5 a.m. I was up and ready. So what I meant with that is, so it's basically questions that you're asking. What's the best way? Is it a one-on-one? Is it a form that I can send them? Is it creating those intake questions like we just did with Aria, I believe? Just to create like a site that you just created, right? So where they're able to bring out, because sometimes you think you've asked everything, but you didn't. So what's the best way? Because I know what questions I would ask, but what's the best way to present that to the client? So is it one-on-ones? Is it just sending them a form? Like, you know how we did with Tabitha, we had the skills intake question. They were asking all those questions one at a time. Is that the best way? So I think that's how I was
So,
dealing with them.
that's a good question. So actually what I now did, for example, with Jerzy was that we sat together the whole last week and we met every day. And in general, it was like 9 hours of meetings where we went through the most important processes and he showed me his knowledge and so on and so forth. So it was a lot of one-on-one. Like you heard, maybe you remember from the training with Tabitha, she said that after some time, the AI does it for you. You send probably an agent or something, and they go through questions with an agent. But for me right now, it's much better to do it one-on-one because I know what to ask exactly, when to ask it. So it was mostly interview. also
Mhm.
giving me a lot of documents, and I was still asking, and I would like to
Mhm.
have this one as well, and this one, and your final post versions. And I don't know, you're right. I wanted to have everything. And then we exported also a lot from, yeah, just for example, Claude. So it's a lot of one-on-one work for me, at least. Maybe later, once you do it 10 times, I don't know. Tabitha said that she does it just, she sends an AI partly.
Mm.
So it can be an interview, an intelligent interview, I would say, done by AI. But for me right now, and I also like it, like I really like these interviews. They are a lot of, like, they're exciting, I would say. And it's one-on-one collecting. And when we got to building, that we're actually doing it today, but when we get to that and I started preparing the questions, most of them were already answered. I just had to create follow-up questions about how the brain is supposed to work and these things, and just small details, because the audit gave us already answers to most of the simple intake questions that we do in workshops, for example.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, insightful. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Estera. Thank you, Mais. Thanks, Sylvia. Thank you. It was nice to see you. Okay, anything else? Did I answer everything? Does someone feel still unanswered? Or thank you for the heart, Magda. Anyone, anything, any follow-up? Thank you so much. I will send a follow-up email with all the infos and all the links and everything. And yeah, you can always also email me with questions if you think of something later. And you can join the school community and ask questions there, and you'll always get an answer. Thank you, Jerzy. Thank you. See you later for the building part. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for getting up so early just to be here. Some of you, amazing. I feel really honored. And yeah, have a nice rest of the day or the whole day, depending where you are. Bye bye. See
Bye.
you later, Jerzy.